Hello, welcome back. In this series of videos, today we are going to see the org structure creation and assigning the attributes, creating a purchase org group, etc. So this org structure is the heart of any implementation. So this configuration plays very important role and vital role. For example, like workflow approvals, and then backend connectivity, and mapping of purchase group, company code, plant, etc. So let me start. So I have created a root org. So that root org, you can name, give the name, and go to address, specifying the address, and then contact person, address, phone number, postal code, etc. And then we have attributes and attribute interfaces, and also we have extended attributes. So all these things we need to assign manually. So this activity has to be performed manually in all the landscape, for example dev, quality, and production. So this cannot be transported. So this is a manual activity in all three landscape. So first attribute I am creating is a account assignment category. So this account assignment category, the values should be mapped against the ECC value. So for this, click on add plus icon there, and then you can choose the values. You can choose the value from the drop down, so like assert and etc., and then you can save it. So I am just referring the values which I have already created in another system. And also you can make one of the value as default value. For example, I am making CC cost center as a default value. And so similarly we have so many attributes, so we will create one by one. So now assigning the vendors. Vendor account, for this you have to define the logical system, that is nothing but your backend ERP system, and assign the value. If you have any default value, you can assign the default value. And so I am checking if the value is assigned. Any default value is there, we can multiple value, if we can also specify the multiple systems, and specify the default value if anything is available. The source system, you have to specify the ERP system as a source, and destination would be our SRM. So now I am going to the assert class attribute. So similarly you specify this backend system name, and then choose one of the value from your drop down values. This can be verified from your colleagues, which will to be assigned, or else we can also specify star. So star, if you mention star, all the class will be relevant for your PR, PO, transfer, etc. So I am specifying star. I don't have any restriction, so I am specifying it star here. And the next attribute would be class is done, and then assert numbers, assert sequence. So assert sub number. So assert sub number. Yeah, so here this is also similar. So you have to specify your source system, and you can choose the value from the drop down. So here I don't have it, so you can specify yes star or 1 here, and then save it. Here what is this sub number? Just referring to my earlier system, sorry, the another system. So it is mentioned as blank ANZ. So that is the value which is mentioned in my backend system. So this we can get it from system or from our colleagues AN2. And the next one would be attachments. So you just click on attachment and go to change attribute, select attachment, and for this also it is the same. So mention the source system and give the assert ID. Assert ID. So I am referring from backend, so that would be a little slow here, but system is taking quite slow compared to earlier. So in the drop down, if you are not finding any of the value, so you can check with MM system in the backend. So here I am entering as AN1, which is for the mentioned against org structure in ECC. So next attribute is category ID. So category ID we can choose from the F4. I am defining ROS as my category for system for the categories. And the next one attribute is catalog views. Yes, go to change attributes again. So this is a repetitive step. For each attribute we have to follow the same process by clicking on the change attribute and then selecting the attribute name and specify the values against each of the attributes, and then it will be updated in the attributes of the root. So for the category I am updated as ROS. So now for category catalog views. So for catalog I am also specifying as star. So I am going to access data from all the catalogs. So I am not restricting for the catalogs selection. So I have mentioned it as star and then save it. The next attribute is company code. So go to change attributes again. Click on change attributes. Commitment item. So commitment item also can be mapped against your backend system. So if you are not finding, again here I don't have the F4 value, so I can log into backend and get the values. If you know, you can enter, otherwise you can get it from the backend system. So I am having commitment item as account. And so the next one is company code. So company code again, yes, you can choose from the backend. So system you always define your EACC. So otherwise you will get an error like not specify backend. So this is the list of company codes available from your backend system, and you can choose one from their F4. So I am selecting company code as 1000. So that would be my default company code. Next is your cost center. Cost center again, if from the source system, ENT, what is the value of, so it is ENT. If you are not finding it applicable to all the attributes, if you are not finding, you can always specify from their backend system, ENT. Next is save it and then choose change attribute again. Yes, selecting ITS for external partner. So ITS is nothing but your external URL from which the SRM system will be accessed. Current ITS. So this URL or the fully qualified URL, we can get it from our basis colleagues. So they would be defining the fully qualified path. If the fully qualified path is not defined, so you can always go to transaction SICF and go to SAP and drop down and go to SAP node PC, then come down to your it is stuck. Hold on, I will scroll down. So this is to get your URL of your SRM system from where bidders will be logging in, and the same URL will be applicable for your internal users, that is for purchase officers also. Yeah, so why it is taking quite a time. It is stuck. Yes. So yeah, and then drop down to GUI. Under drop down GUI node you have SAP. Under SAP node we have ITS services. So in ITS we have a node service called BBP start. So this will be our start. This will be our start page of our SRM system. So you just copy this URL. So for time being, so later when the fully qualified domain is updated, so we can always change this URL with the fully qualified path. So for now I am selecting from ITS service from SICF, and the same you have to update to current ITS for users, that is for internal users. And then save it. Yes, so it is saved. Now go back to your change attribute for the other ITS service is updated. Now defining the default printer settings for all your SRM documents. So choose from your F4 LP01 as a default printer, and then for any of your document print, by default LP01 will be assigned when you assign it here. Next is like your document types in a R3 system. So you select your backend system as your ECC, and then you can specify with your document types with the restricted document types. Otherwise we can also give star. If you don't have any restriction, we can always give star. Next node is invoice recipient address. So for this, if you know the BP number, you can specify the business partner number. Otherwise here also it is always mentioned as star, so it is recommended or practice good to have a star here. And again this is also a currency configuration. So we have a choice of entering multiple currencies and specify the default one. So I have only one currency for this business, so I maintained only INR in this case. Next one is maintaining the plant. So for this again specify the source system as ECC, and then select your plant from the drop down. Also if you have multiple plants, it is you can also click on plus and then keep adding all the plants, and choose the default plant by selecting default checkbox. So without selecting source system you will not get the F4. So I have added 3 plants and added as a you can always add a default one from any one of this drop down. And then next is like moment types. Again this is also no restrict. If you want to restrict the moment types for GRs, you can specify the moment types like 201 to 201 etc. Otherwise we can specify star if you don't want to restrict with respect to moment types. And next is for the similarly, if this plant is for PM plant maintenance component. So earlier we maintained a plant that is for generic, so this is for plant maintenance. So similarly maintain all the plants here by selecting plus icon and choose source system and company code. I have added all 3, and if any of the plant you wanted to make it as default, it is always up to you and the organization to default any of the plant. And this also can be modified at any point of time. There is no restriction. we can always modify the default values. And now the phase is done. Planning plant again. This is for planning module. For this also we have to maintain all the plants. We have to follow the same steps. Yes, choose the source system and then the planning plant source system. Yes, drop down enter. Yes, so if the source system is not selected properly, you will not get that drop down. That is why I was facing issues couple of times. Yes, again choose plant. Now the third plant, like earlier, all the plant has been maintained. Yes. So next is work center. If you have any specific work center to be updated, it is always process is same. Just go to attribute, change attribute, click on your work center, select your source system and select your work center from your drop down. And the next attribute is your plan for work center is done. Request type, requisitioner, and then what is that? Is the smart form? Yeah, we will define the requisitioner. So if you want to restrict the PO creation or PR transfer with respect to users, that user ID has to be maintained here one by one. So if you don't have any restriction, then it is always star. So in my business case, there is no restriction. Any purchase officer can create the PR or PO. So there is no restriction. I am maintaining as a star. So if the company is having any restriction, so it has to be maintained user by user. So if you have 100 users, so 100 attribute has to be maintained. So next is like defining the logical system. What will be your backend logical system? That is maintained. Yes. And now requisitioner is done, backend system is done. Now choosing the system alias for your accounting system, that is again my ECC. So it is not been saved, so you will get a pop-up. So you keep saving after you change each of the attribute, for otherwise all the data would be lost since it is a manual activity. So now again choosing the vendors for your backend system, system name for your vendors, that is also been selected as your ECC from where we are going to access the vendors. And then next attribute is like here vendors is done. Then defining the document types for different documents like a process, contract, RFX and PO, etc. So if for contracts, so we are having only one contract type, that is by standard PCTR, and if you have any other custom, that also can be maintained one by one. So in for RFX, I am going to restrict only two process document. So that is like this is a PO. So I am going to restrict two purchase document, that is ZITO and ZMED. Only these two documents will be allowed for creation. Other document types will not be allowed. We will get an error message. So this can also be modified later point if you want to include other document types. And then next is like transaction types for your bidding for your RFX. So here in this case I wanted to allow all the transaction types. So I am going to mention a star, otherwise you have to mention that list of values for which it is allowed. And specify the standard fixed or the standard roles which is applicable for all your purchase officers. So I am going to specify which is required for accessing the portal. So that is like SAP SRM employee role, and other one is like strategic purchaser and operational purchaser, that is ST OP purchaser and ST purchaser, ST for strategic and OP for operational. So all three roles has to be maintained. So this, but by default these three users will be copied to all the purchase officers. So I hope yeah, all the attributes has been updated. Yes, hopefully yes. So I think we completed all the attributes. So now go to extended attributes. So here we have certain extended attributes. We have product categories, location, storage location, etc. So product category I am going to mention star, since I don't have restriction in the product, so I will mention star against product category. So all the products I will be able to procure. And against location, if you have restrictions against your location, so here I have 3 locations. So if I wanted to restrict 1 or 2, so I can always filter based on my requirement. So here I am going to maintain all the locations. Plant if I choose, and then location is maintained against it. So the partner ID is nothing but for each location there will be a business partner created. So that is the partner ID for each location. So it is like a company code, plant and storage location combination. So this always can be restricted. So I am maintaining 3 different storage locations, which is which is allowed in my case. Then finally click on save and do a check button. So when you do a check, if you get a green light, yes, all the attributes are good to go. Next is like creating a purchase organization. For that you right click and then say in organization. So you can define the organization purchase org name, and the description also we can give the descriptions. The go to next is like go to address tab and then mention all the relevant details against address information. So I am going to copy from my other systems. So this can be copied or you can maintain manually if it is different from your other systems. I am copying so that it will be easy for me. Yeah, I have copied. So address is also maintained. Next is function. Define whether it is a company code, purchase org or purchase group. Since I am creating a company code, I am choosing a checkbox as company code. Then define the backend system and specify the company code of your backend system. So it is 1000 in my case. And then by default all your attributes created in a root node will automatically copy to your sub node. This is one big advantage. Otherwise again manual activities has to be performed. So all your attributes will be copied from your root org, whatever is been maintained. So if you go to extended attributes, again that also will be copied. And product categories, locations, and then storage location. Yeah, everything is copied. The check is also okay. We are getting a green. Next is like if you want to create a purchase group, it is the same thing. Right click and choose in organization, and then you can always create an ID name, unique ID or ID description. Yeah, it is similar. Go to address, copy the address, which is address cannot be copied from the root node, so it has to be maintained manually. You can copy from previous node, but it cannot be inherited from your super node or from your root node. So now I am creating a purchase org and selecting your backend system, Yeah, so we can always mention your purchase backend purchase org name. So this is one-to-one relationship, otherwise your PR transfer or your PO will give an error, that purchase organization does not exist. So this activity is very important of creating purchase group, purchase org. So now we have successfully created a root org and then a company code, and then we created a purchase organization. So under purchase organization we can create inline supervisor. So that is nothing but, so we can create a purchase group under your purchase org. We can have multiple purchase groups also, and each purchase group we can define the head of department and who is going to report to him. So that will be responsible for your approvals. So yeah, it is the same process, giving the ID and description and maintain the address. So head of the department, and then under the head of the department you can specify the list of people who are going to report to that head. So that persons will be reporting, and X person is going to be the head and Y, Z will report to him. So all the PRs created by Y and Z will be approved by X. So that is very important in defining the head of the department. So here again I have maintained the purchase group from backend, and then attributes will be automatically inherited from super nodes. So these are all the purchase groups which I created in my previous system, in another system. So similarly we have to create all that purchase group one by one. So we have I have close to 20-30. I cannot show all that, so I am skipping of other creating other purchase groups. I have showed only one purchase group creation and assigning the relevant attributes for the purchase groups. So under purchase group you can define the users who is responsible for that group. So let me show you. Yes, so right click, and I'm just checking. Yes, so here I've created one group 602. Under that 602 I have this many peoples. So if we take there, the SRM admin is the head of that group. If you see, there is a cap, so that cap represents head of the group. So he will be head and other people will be reporting to him under for that particular group. So similarly the same activity has to be performed for all other groups as well. For only one purchase group I created for testing purpose. So if you want to assign someone responsible for all the groups, then you have to assign the person under the purchase organization, so that the person will be responsible for all the purchase groups under the purchase org. So next is like similarly I am going to create another purchase group. It is again getting slower. This I am going to create another group, just typing in the name, just copy it from that another client. Yes, so description, whatever the description you maintain here, that will be reflecting in your documents. For example, in your shopping cart document or purchase order document or your RFX. So wherever the documents you are going to create, so this description will be reflecting. So that description has to be maintained properly, so which is understood by all the stakeholders, meaning all the purchase officers. By this description they will be able to start their purchasing activities. So this also very important in maintaining the details. Yeah, obviously I am going to copy this address. it is the same, like same activity. All your attributes will be copied. So only thing is checkbox you choose as purchase group and choose the relevant purchase group from your backend and then save it. Yeah, this is repeating. I'm going to create one more purchase group. Let's say it is AMR purchase 2, and I'm going to define as A02. So that is for my internal reference. A1, A2, all that is up to business, just to uniquely identify. Yes, so it is green. Yeah. So this is how we create and assign the purchase group, purchase org, and then company code, and then assigning the code to the root org. So hope you like my video. If you like, please share my video to your friends and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you.